Welcome back to America's Commercial Real Estate Show. I'm Michael Bull. This segment is brought to you by CommercialAgentSuccess.com. It is the ultimate training for commercial agents and brokers. Well, today we're talking about wellness, we're talking about sustainability, and we're talking about how to increase your top line and bottom line numbers with wellness and with sustainability. And what a great topic, because we're all concerned with productivity, we're all concerned with wellness, and everyone's always concerned with top line and bottom line numbers. Well, please welcome my next guest. I have Warren Neilson and Jeremy Attema with us, and they're with a company called Stok, and they're joining us on the phone, basically. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Tell us briefly about Stok, what you guys do.
Yeah, so Stok is a vertically integrated real estate services firm. We offer certifications work for LEED and WELL. We do engineering services as well as including commissioning, energy modeling, energy auditing. We have a project management team as well, doing some smaller scale TI work. And we do strategic portfolio analysis to help corporations with large real estate assets to come up with sustainability action plans, defining what sustainability means for them, defining a path for what, where to go, and what that aligns a sustainability value that aligns with what their core values are.
Yeah, I love what you guys do. And you did a study called The Financial Impact of High Performance Buildings. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was a bit of research that we'd been working on for a couple of years that we actually pulled together academic and industry experts to quantify the financial impacts of high-performance design and high-performance buildings. We defined high-performance buildings by buildings that reduce the environmental impact and drive design that increase productivity through great indoor environmental experiences and increased health, wellness, and productivity, as well as buildings that drive the financial bottom line to those tenants and the landlords or developers. So you really have to, high performance design really hits the three tiers of sustainability, from a human and social impact, an environmental impact, and a financial impact. So that study really, we sat down and determined that really the story of the financial impact for these high performance buildings is not told very well, and that there's a lot of credible research and a lot of experience that we had actually handled with our clients that came to the conclusion that the financial value of moving forward with high performance design was a no-brainer. And so we didn't feel the story was told well enough and comprehensive enough, so we decided to sit down and dedicate 2 years to pulling the research together and our experience and experts in the field to write this report.
Well, what do you say to the naysayers who say, you know what, sustainability, it's a bunch of malarkey, it's just going to cost us money, no one's going to be more productive. What do you say? What's the bottom line? What'd your study come up with?
I mean, in short, the response would be, okay, no problem. The rest of us will do it and keep moving forward.
You'll be left behind.
But, probably not the answer everyone wants to hear, but, the bottom line of the report says that financially, the return on investment is almost immediately. Really, when we think about the numbers, for every dollar you spend in design, you spend about 10 in construction. And for every dollar you spend in design, you spend about $100 in the operations of that building. However, the real fascinating number is for every dollar you spend in design, you spend about $1,000 on your employees. And if we spend a little bit more time and a little bit more money driving the productivity in those employees, the payback is almost immediate, right? So let's double the cost of design and increase productivity by 1%, and that return on investment happens within a year.
And to add to that, what we want to do is design for the user, and because at the end of the day, that's what buildings are for. They're for the end users. And so the U.S. has turned into a service-based economy. We're not, the financial value of our companies is not based off of our property, plants, and equipment anymore. It's based off of our intellectual capital. It's based off of our people, our employees. So there should not be an argument about not putting your employees in the best possible spaces you can. And so that's the angle we take with a lot of our clients in using a end user approach to the design.
And did you see a dollar value to premium to more sustainable buildings, more wellness type buildings?
Yeah, actually, in our report that we developed, we see a $20 per square foot premium in high performance buildings, and that's based off of a hypothetical 150,000 square foot building with a corporate client with an average revenue of I think $540,000 per employee of average revenue per employee. And so, a large company, a large corporate client, and we've provided a hypothetical example in this report. Then we dive into productivity, how productivity, retention, and health impacts the employees of this hypothetical building, and providing a methodology for companies to develop a metric to analyze what these impacts are on a high performance building.
So $20 a square foot for the building premium for the user per year, is that right?
Correct.
So that's pretty big value. Does that surprise anyone when they see that?
It surprised me, to be honest, when we went through the numbers. And what I loved saying when I'm presenting this to conferences around the nation here is that even if it's backed by, let me start by saying it's backed by decades and decades of research of academics and industry leaders looking into the impacts of productivity, retention, and health in the workplace. And so the data is there. We're not just making these numbers and pulling them out of thin air. And even if you don't believe the numbers that we use in the report, we use 3% increase in productivity, a 5% increase in retention, and a 30% decrease in absenteeism. Even if you don't believe in those numbers, or you like that might be a little far-fetched, take 50% of that, take 25% of those numbers. You're still looking at a 4-year simple payback when you boil down the numbers. And so when you look at the employee benefits in a high performance building, it really is a no-brainer in designing, and make sure that you're designing to enhance your occupant experience.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to get across in this show, and you guys do it well. I love what you do. And even if you own the buildings, right, you manage the buildings, you invest in the buildings, your tenants need to be profitable, and your tenants are going to be driven to these types of buildings, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's what we're finding, is that the leading developers right now that we're collaborating with definitely see this. And they definitely want to attract the top tenants, just like the tenants want to attract the top talent into their spaces and into their organizations. And then not only do they want to attract those tenants, but they want to retain them. They want them to stay in the space for a long time. And so if they're thinking out ahead as to what the next wave of design influences in the future, it's human health and wellness and productivity and environmental responsibility. We're seeing developers dive all into that 110%, and we're seeing them bring in anchor tenants quicker with those types of spaces.
And what do you see as far as the trends here, guys? So, you look back several years ago, we had a lot of unemployment. Now we have very low unemployment. People are really concerned with recruiting and retention. Is your phone just ringing off the hook, or are people more involved and more excited about sustainability, about wellness today, or are you surprised that they're not kicking in yet?
We've been really fortunate. We're really busy right now, and I think a lot of the economy to some extent is so. But we're absolutely finding that it's not, we're not forcing anyone to do this or think about it. They're calling us and saying, hey, we heard this is your expertise and focus area. Tell us how you can help us. In addition to that, some organizations that we've been working with for years, they're driving harder and harder and deeper and more technical and off into the future, further ahead of the rest of the industry. So we're really seeing a lot of thought leadership that are moving beyond standard protocol within health, wellness, environmental sustainability. And we're seeing organizations dive very deeply what it means to select the appropriate materials that don't have chemicals of concern that actually impact human health and productivity within the spaces. That's hitting things at a more specific level than a broader, client that might call and say, hey, we're looking at developing a property. We want to move forward with LEED certification. We're a little bit beyond that, and the industry, I think, has moved past that and wants something new and wants to know what's next, what's out there. How do we move beyond LEED as good and as great and as useful as it was to us? We want more, because we know that works, and that's the direction that we're going to go. And I think they're aligned with Wave of the Future.
Yeah.
We were speaking before the show, and you had mentioned too your daughter's graduating with a degree in sustainability within business, and so that's the future. The next generation of the economies coming out here saying, what organizations are aligned with my values? I see that the environment and climate change is a huge impact in the world, and I want to align with it in a positive way with either those organizations or with the scope of work that can help me solve those problems.
Well, that's great. My daughter wants to save the world. You guys are saving the world, and that's great stuff. Thank you both for joining us. We appreciate the information, and thank you for joining us. Be sure and join us next week. Until then, be sure you always lead, learn, and laugh, and join us for America's Commercial Real Estate Show.